Hey everyone, it's Amador, and I wanted to make a cute little rustic card for the Saturday Morning Makes here on YouTube that is started by a sweet lady, Jill Norwood. I think you're amazing, and also some of the other ladies that I follow. They've been posting videos, and I mean, they've been posting videos for a while, but I barely had a chance to start catching up and getting things going again so I can get my projects and videos going. So I wanted to make something, and let me just show you what I got. By the way, Julie, hello everybody, hello ladies. I hope you're doing well. Hope everything is getting well. With that being said, this is the stamp that I got at a antique mall. I just happened to find it. And I also, if you follow me, you probably might have seen videos where I did little alterations, where I cut out the face so I could have two versions, and I was able to do more of a pumpkin patch kind of situation if I wanted, and some without faces. So that's what I did. I did some masking for this project, so let me show you. I used this stamp, this die right here, the center one, and I forgot what brand this is. I know that this company is no longer around. You might be able to find these on eBay, but I liked how the stitch corners, the stitch edges, excuse me, are all winding as opposed to just straight edges. This is how I ended up finishing. I colored my image, and I have all these layers. Also, I have to construct the card. I'll do that in a moment. I wanted to initially, I have to show you this. I wanted to initially do my own background, but I'm like, it just wasn't working. It wasn't working. But anyway, this is how some of the stamped images. I would plan to make other little cards, but this is what I was going for, just to show you. I've shown these also, but I just had to do something like that. So it gives you more options, and you can always alter your stamps. You don't have to stick with just the one that you get. So let's get this started. And let's get started with the actual card base. Because I wanted so much of the layering on this card, I made the base 6.5 by 5.5. Therefore, I had to join two pieces to make the actual card, where the back part has that 1-inch scored space for me to be able to actually adhere it to the front, and then it is good to go. Then I ended up distressing it with a vintage photo. I wanted just a little bit of distressing, like I've shown in my previous projects. I didn't want it to have like the full-on grungy dirty, but I wanted it to have a little bit of a rustic shading to it. So I did that on the main card base for the front part. This is the second layer, and we do this for all three layers, and I only use vintage photo. I have a few other distress inks, but I think this is the one that I just like the most because it gives it that light touch, that light little hint of a vintage and whatnot. It shows off pretty well on this cream colored cardstock, and most of it, I think all of the cardstocks I used are heavyweight or 110 pounds, and I just do a little bit distressing on all of them, even on the orange plaid background. And here I am just seeing how it's looking even on this orange background, which I think is from American Crafts. I went through my stash of papers to look for like a orangey and whatnot, but I showed you because I did try to make my own, and it just wasn't looking right. It didn't look right. But here I go ahead, and sorry if this noise bothers people, but I went ahead and distressed and the edges. I actually do have a little like distressing tool. I just never pull it out. I have these scissors that work pretty well, and I just go little by little, side by side. And if it tears, I'm perfectly okay with that because it goes along with the theme to kind of give it that kind of rustic burlap kind of texture or fabric texture, like those old sacks, since they are pumpkins after all. But I do that to all of the layers. I don't do it to the actual card base just because I don't want to mess up the card or mess up the structure of the card. And I go ahead and just do a little bit more of distressing to really show off the areas that I distressed. And here you can see it much closer how they look, and it gives it a little bit of a different feel. I go ahead and I play around with seeing which way I want to place the actual layers, because I would like the layers on the bottom part to have more distressing than the ones at the top. I just feel like it gives it a little bit more of an authentic look. I mean, after all, this is just a card. But here I am just adding a little bit more distress stain, and I do add little by little because even later on I add some more to the main image throughout the process, only because if I do it too dark, then everything else has to be dark. So I don't want to go ahead and just start off with super dark edges or whatnot. I do it even on the image. I really like how the distressing actually brought out the stitches on the die cut more than if you would have just not had it with it. Here I am just layering a layer of foam to the front part with the Copic colored image and the orange background. Orange plaid background. I'm trying to think of words. If you notice, I have my mounting foam on wax paper because I'm able to cut it in half much easier that way than if you try to cut it with your with just your scissors like that. And here I am placing the twine. This is May Arts twine. I have two colors, the light cream and the natural color. So here I am taping it. You know when you take the office supplies from your old job and you put them to good use. So I just tape it on the back because this just stabilizes it. It allows you to tie the bow a lot better. Now, if you notice, my image is upside down. For some reason, when I'm tying bows, if I tie them upside down, I'm able to flip the tails upward, and then they fall perfectly when you turn the image right side up. I have no idea, but I think it has to do with the process on how I tie the bow, like you would tie laces basically. But here, this way, it has it on the right side and everything is positioned perfectly, and I don't have to worry about gluing it or taping it because I did use 4 strands, 2 of each of the colors, just to give it a little bit more volume. I was going to cut the ends shorter, but I ended up leaving them long because I just liked the way they looked and how they felt. But here, time to assemble everything, and of course, my trusty dusty ATG gun to get everything put together. I just make sure that I have it in the areas that I wanted. I mean, in the layers to be positioned, whether if I wanted at the top or the bottom. And here I am, I decided to do a little bit more distressing on the corners, like if they were caught, where I crumple them up a little bit, pull them up with my finger, and then lay them back down. I also go over it with a little bit of the distress ink again, just to kind of give it more of a visual, but not super torn and, you know, totally destroyed kind of situation. But I do that to all of the layers, I mean both of the layers except for the orange plaid, just to give it a little bit more of I don't know, a little bit more interest, I guess. I have no idea. And if you notice, I keep picking up the card because so many times have I started to make a card or was halfway through it, and then I realize that it's upside down and the way it opens is on the upside part. So I have to keep checking it. You'll see that through most of my projects, if you see me lift up the card to see where it opens, it's because I'm making sure that it's not going to be upside down. Many times I've done it and I've had to either take it apart or just cut off the front and glue it on a different backing. Here I am just centering everything, and like I said, I was going to cut the tails of the bow, but I really liked how they turned out with this little twine. But here it is. Then I realized, hey, I don't have a sentiment. So I go and look through my Halloween sentiments, and I find this stamp set from the Sassy Club, and it says pumpkin season. So I go on with the same die. I tried 2 different types. I did one where I cut it in a strip where with the stitching on both sides from this die, but I liked this one, this idea where it looks like it's being cut from the stitching on top. I don't know if that makes sense. I just freehand cut this, and of course the edges, what do I cut them with? I know you guys are gonna hate seeing these stupid little scissors, these old Teresa Collins mini pinking shears, and I go ahead and I distress it a little bit just to kind of offset it from the actual card base, because I want it all to have the same look. And it actually turned out really cute, and it looked like it was coming off of the page because I folded it a little bit right here so it would kind of come up, and I only put adhesive on the top part so it kind of goes along with the stitching lines. I know it's crazy, but there you go. Thank you for coming for the Saturday morning makes. Make sure you check the hashtags and follow all of these amazing other crafters. Thank you, ladies, for welcoming me again, and I can't wait to make another one of these projects for Saturday morning makes. I hope you guys like this little vintage look. Let me know what else you want to see, and talk to you guys soon.